Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim-majority country, presents a unique case study in the spread of Islam. Unlike the rapid conquest that marked the Islamic expansion in the Middle East and North Africa, Islam in Indonesia spread gradually over centuries, largely through trade, missionary activities, and the influence of Islamic empires. This video delves into the multifaceted process by which Indonesia transitioned from a predominantly Hindu-Buddhist region to a Muslim-majority nation. Before the arrival of Islam, Indonesia was home to a variety of indigenous animist beliefs, which were later influenced by Hinduism and Buddhism from the Indian subcontinent. These religions found fertile ground in the Indonesian archipelago, with major Hindu and Buddhist kingdoms such as Srivijaya, Majapahit, and Salendra establishing themselves as powerful entities. The earliest interactions between Indonesians and Muslims likely began through trade. Arab traders had reached Southeast Asia by the 7th century, navigating the vast Indian Ocean trading network. These traders brought not only goods but also new ideas and religious beliefs. The strategic location of Indonesian islands, particularly Sumatra and Java, made them crucial hubs in these trade routes. Islam's spread in Indonesia was deeply intertwined with the region's trade networks. Muslim traders from Gujarat, Persia, Arabia, and later from the Ottoman Empire played a significant role in introducing Islam to the local population. The ports of Sumatra, such as Aceh and Java, became important centers for the dissemination of Islamic teachings. In these bustling trade ports, Islam initially took hold among the merchant communities. Over time, the influence of these communities grew, and Islamic practices began to permeate through the local population. This gradual process was marked by syncretism, where Islamic beliefs and practices were integrated with local traditions and customs. Sufism, a mystical branch of Islam, was instrumental in the spread of Islam in Indonesia. Sufi missionaries, or Sufis, traveled extensively and established themselves in various parts of the archipelago. These missionaries were known for their flexible and inclusive approach to preaching, which allowed them to adapt Islam to local contexts. The Wali Songo, or the Nine Saints, are particularly renowned for their efforts in spreading Islam on the island of Java. These Sufi saints used a combination of preaching, teaching, and incorporating local cultural elements to attract followers. They played a crucial role in converting the Javanese population to Islam and are still revered in Indonesia today. The conversion of local rulers and elites was a pivotal factor in the broader acceptance of Islam in Indonesia. As rulers adopted Islam, their subjects often followed suit. The process of conversion among the ruling classes was not always purely religious. It was also influenced by political and economic considerations. One of the earliest and most significant conversions was that of Sultan Malik al-Saleh of the Samudra Pasai Sultanate in northern Sumatra in the late 13th century. His conversion set a precedent for other rulers in the region. By the 15th century, the powerful Majapahit kingdom in Java began to decline, and emerging Islamic sultanates, such as the Sultanate of Demak, gained prominence. The rise of Islamic empires in the Indonesian archipelago further accelerated the spread of Islam. The Sultanate of Malacca, established in the early 15th century on the Malay Peninsula, became a major center of Islamic learning and culture. Malacca's strategic location and its role as a major trading hub facilitated the spread of Islam to other parts of Southeast Asia, including Indonesia. The fall of Malacca to the Portuguese in 1511 prompted Muslim traders and scholars to relocate to other parts of the region, including the Indonesian archipelago. This dispersal contributed to the further spread of Islamic teachings and practices. One of the defining characteristics of Islam in Indonesia is its syncretic nature. The spread of Islam did not lead to the immediate or complete eradication of pre-existing beliefs and practices. Instead, Islam in Indonesia often incorporated elements of Hinduism, Buddhism, and local animist traditions. This syncretic approach can be seen in various aspects of Indonesian Islamic culture. For example, wayang kulit, shadow puppetry, and gamelan, traditional music, are cultural forms that have been adapted to include Islamic themes. The Javanese Abangan tradition is another example, where Islamic practices are blended with local customs and rituals. The spread of Islam in Indonesia was not entirely peaceful or uncontested. There were instances of resistance and conflict, particularly in regions where Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms were deeply entrenched. The decline of the Majapahit Empire, for example, was marked by conflicts between Muslim and non-Muslim factions. In some cases, the spread of Islam involved military conquests and the establishment of Islamic rule through force. The Sultanate of Demak, for example, played a significant role in the Islamization of Java through both peaceful means and military campaigns against non-Muslim rulers. The arrival of European colonial powers, starting with the Portuguese and followed by the Dutch, had a profound impact on the religious landscape of Indonesia. The Dutch East India Company, VOC, and later the Dutch colonial administration implemented policies that affected the spread and practice of Islam. Despite colonial efforts to control and sometimes suppress Islamic institutions, Islam continued to grow and consolidate its presence in Indonesia. The colonial period saw the emergence of Islamic educational institutions, religious organizations, and resistance movements that laid the foundation for modern Indonesian Islam. Following Indonesia's independence from Dutch colonial rule in 1945, Islam continued to play a central role in the country's national identity. The new nation grappled with questions of religious identity and the role of Islam in the state. While Indonesia adopted a secular constitution, Islam remains a significant influence in political and social life. In the modern era, Indonesia has witnessed a revival of Islamic piety and activism. Islamic organizations, such as Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah, have played crucial roles in shaping the religious landscape. Additionally, the rise of Islamic political parties and movements has highlighted the ongoing relevance of Islam in contemporary Indonesian society.